welcome back to Cruising as Crew. Today we are going to go through 8 safety measures that all cruise ship employees should know. So yes, when you work on a cruise ship, you not only have the job that you were employed to do, that you have to do, your other job is the safety aspect of working on a cruise ship. And this job is just as important as the job that you were hired to do. So today I'm going to go through 8 things that you need to know and take into consideration to make sure that you comply with all of the safety rules on board your cruise ship. Now, when you first get on board, you are going to be issued with a crew ID and an emergency card. The crew ID is the key to your cabin. It's how you purchase things on board, and obviously it IDs you as a crew member. And then your safety card will tell you what your job is if the ship goes into an emergency. It will have a safety number on it that applies to you and various other information. And your job is to fully understand what is written on that card. So the first thing that you need to really get to grips with and understand when you get on board is, what is your job in an emergency? What are people depending on you to do? Are you guiding people to lifeboats? Are you part of the crowd control team? Are you getting extra life jackets? Like, what is your job in an emergency? And the best time to find this out is during crew drills. So every cruise ship do crew drills, but how frequent they take place depends on the cruise line and the ship, to be honest. And during your first few drills, everyone will forgive you for not knowing what's going on. You're new on board. No one is going to expect you to know everything when you start. Like, it's okay not to understand things. But I would say this grace period lasts for about a month. You have a month to fully grasp the safety on board. So if an officer comes up to you during a drill and asks you, how many lifeboats do we have? What class of fire does this fire extinguisher put out? Where is your nearest fire extinguisher? Are you going to be on a lifeboat or a life raft if it comes to it? If you don't know the answer to that in the first few weeks, it's okay. However, as soon as you hit that kind of month mark, you need to know the answer to those questions. And the only way you're going to know the answer is by asking those questions. So I really encourage you to ask as many questions as you can. I mean, your whole contract. Obviously, if there's anything you don't understand at any point during your contract, ask the questions. But especially in your first few weeks on board, like, ask as many questions as you can, because you can be forgiven for not knowing. Whereas if you're asking, how many lifeboats are there, and you're 3 months into your contract, you might get a different response than the one you're going to get in your first few weeks. Ask questions, you know. Why is this my muster station? Why am I stood here? Why am I doing crowd control? Why isn't someone else doing crowd control and I'm getting life jackets? Like, any question you have, ask it. You need to ask the question because someday soon someone's going to be asking you that question and you need to have the answer. Once you have learned your position, what your role is in an emergency, the second most important thing you need to know regarding safety is about the lifeboats and the life rafts. Most passengers will be assigned to, well, all passengers will be assigned to a lifeboat. And then those lifeboats will also include some crew members, you know, for crowd control, to drive the lifeboat, etc. And then most crew members will be assigned to a life raft. You need to know how many life rafts there are, how many people they hold, how many lifeboats there are, how many passengers they hold, and how many crew they hold. What life-saving appliances are in rafts and the boats, how much food, how much water can be found. The numbers on the lifeboats, and if someone comes up to you and says, where is lifeboat 6, you need to be able to tell them, oh, well, that is on the starboard side aft, or I don't know, wherever it is on your ship. And the reason this information needs to be like drilled into you, which is why we do crew drills and easily accessible, is because if something did happen, of course we are all going to be fearful, and there is going to be an element of panic. And when we panic, it's difficult to mine our brain for information that we need. So we need this information at the very surface. We've got it right there. Number 3 is know the ship's layout. Now, this is something that is going to come with time. I've been on here a few weeks and I still don't know the entire layout of the ship. I am getting to grips with it, but it's taking time. But you need to familiarise yourself with exits, different stairwells. Most crew members, when they get on board, learn how to get from their cabin to the mess, from their cabin to work, from the mess to work, and they only know those three things, which is fine. It's fine for the first few days, of course. However, what you will learn when you are living on a ship, they'll close watertight doors. They'll seal off things with fire screen doors. Not because they want to make life difficult for you, it's safety precautions. But if you only know one way to work and it just happens to be through a watertight door, and then one day you go to work and that watertight door is shut, how are you getting to work? On a cruise ship, there is always going to be a minimum of 2 exits out of everywhere. You know, like in training rooms, there's 2 doors in and out. In the mess, there's always going to be a few different exits. I think the only rooms on a cruise ship that are going to have 1 exit is your cabin. Your cabin's only going to have 1 door in and out. But everywhere else is going to have 2 exits. And you need to know, okay, if that watertight door is shut, how am I getting out of here? You need to know as many different ways around the ship as you possibly can. And this just comes with time. It really does. But if you do, I don't know, find yourself leaving your cabin a little bit earlier than usual, go the other way and learn a different way to work, just in case you ever need it. Now, moving on to the next one, while it is important to go exploring and find different routes around the ship and know the ship's layout, you also need to respect restricted areas. Like, explore to a point. If there is a door with authorised crew members only, restricted area, dangerous area, please don't go poking around. Usually you can't, like usually these areas are blocked off, they're locked, like unless you are an authorised crew members, you can't get to them. However, occasionally these doors are left open and crew members go looking where they shouldn't. They end up getting a smack on the wrist or sometimes fired, depending on how far they went and where they went. So, you know, if you're not an engineer and you wander into the engine room, you know, it's not great. And because you can't wander into the engine room without passing numerous signs saying authorised crew members only. And again, I know this sounds self-explanatory, but you would be surprised how many people go wandering in places where they shouldn't. So please respect the signs that you see on a cruise ship. If it says authorised personnel only and you know that you are not one of those authorised personnel, then don't go. It's not worth it. You need to know emergency numbers. So, you know, if there is an emergency, how do you call the bridge? How do you call the medical centre? But if it isn't an emergency, but you still need to get hold of the bridge, how do you call them? What number do you call? A watertight door is closed and you need to get through that watertight door. So you need to call the bridge to get it opened. Well, you're not going to call the emergency bridge number, because that's for like, hey, I found a fire. So there is a lot of different numbers. There's a lot of different phone numbers that you need to learn. And again, have them easily accessible because you never know when you are going to need them. And look, I'm sure watching this video, you're maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed, like, I need to know what to do in an emergency, I need to know numbers, I need to know, like, all of these things. It comes with time, and there is a lot of information that you need to take in, but believe me, like, you'll just accumulate this knowledge over time and you'll get it. I promise you, you'll get it. Another really important one is you need to know what alarms mean. There's a lot of signals, there's a lot of alarms, it's noisy working on a ship. You know, not all the time, but like cruise ships quite often have code announcements, okay? So if, let's say a crew member finds a fire, they are not going to come over the PA system and say, fire, 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 located on deck 3, fire zone, da da da, whatever. Because the passengers are going to hear that and obviously be like, oh my god, there's a fire! And it's going to create panic. So, like, on one of my old, no, I won't say it, oh, I don't know. But anyway, on one of my old ships, like, a code was Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. The guests don't know what that means. But as a crew member, you need to know what that means. Is Charlie, Charlie, Charlie medical? Is it fire? What's Alpha, Alpha, Alpha? Collision? There will be a lot of code announcements, and you need to know what they mean so that you know whether you're needed for that emergency. And it goes back to knowing what you're responsible for in an emergency. Like, if you're part of the fire team and you hear the code announcement for fire, but you don't know what that means, like, it's not gonna end very well for you, because you're not gonna turn up to where you need to be. What do you do when 7 short 1 long goes off? What do you do when the 1 long signal goes off? What do you do when the captain makes a certain announcement between the, like, these are all questions that you're gonna get the answer to when you start doing crew drills. But maybe you also need to ask the question. If you don't know what an alarm means, find out, because again, no one expects you to understand in your first month. So I urge you to get all of the information during that first month, when you can say, oh, I'm new on board. And they're like, oh, okay, no problem. Every crew member and passenger will be designated a muster station, which is where you muster before you get into the lifeboats. Now, it is possible that your muster station is the place where the emergency is. You know, if your muster station is in one of the restaurants and it just happens that that is the galley that is on fire, where are you going to go if your muster station is on fire? Everyone has a backup muster station, but it is your responsibility to know where that muster station is, so you don't end up alone, your muster station, with the fire and get into trouble. Speaking of fire, there's obviously different classes of fire and different fire extinguishers. Now, if you do your STCW qualification before you go on a cruise ship, you will learn all about the different types of fire and fire extinguishers, what fire extinguisher puts out what type of fire, how to use it, etc. And by no means are you expected to put out a fire, but what they always tell us is, like, let's say I discover a small fire, right, and there's a fire extinguisher to my right, and I am able to identify that that fire extinguisher is going to be able to put out this type of fire. If I can put out this fire while it is small, I could potentially save everyone's life, because by the time I have called the bridge, who has called the assessment team, who has called the fire team, that fire might be huge by then. We all know how quickly fire spreads. So although you're never going to get in trouble if you find a fire and you're unable to put it out, your ability to put it out could potentially save everyone's life. No pressure. So it is important that you understand what fire extinguisher puts out what fire and how to use it, just in case you ever need to, which I really hope you won't. But you never know. And the last thing I'm going to say, which this is an important thing for me, everyone's different, but it's understanding the reason behind the rule. All I'm trying to say is sometimes understanding the reason behind a rule or a guideline sometimes makes it easier to follow it. So I am never shy to ask the questions like, why is this a rule? Why do we not do this? Or why do we do this? Because again, once I understand the reason behind it, I'm like, oh, okay, I can also get behind that rule and follow it and enforce it if I see someone breaking it. But of course, if I'm like, yeah, this is stupid, I don't know why we do this, you know, you're more likely to butt up against it, to rebel a little bit. So if there is any rules that you don't understand or you think are unfair or unwarranted, I urge you to ask the question. No one is going to be mad or upset at you for asking questions. They're only going to be mad and upset at you for breaking the rules. Basically, the moral of this video is, if you have a question, ask it. But anyway, those are the 8 things that you need to know about safety when you come on board. And you know, if you know all of the things I've mentioned in this video, then you will pass any exam, any test with flying colours. But a lot of the information I have mentioned in this video will come with time. You know, like, don't be hard on yourself if you don't understand it within the first week of being on board. You're not going to. Like, it is going to take a few weeks, and that's okay, but just ask as many questions as you can. But thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.